What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 36. My name is Brett, aka Enigma911. I am joined by Kevin once again for one last podcast for a while. But it's been a good run. It's been a great time. Remember, you can catch the podcast live every first and third Saturday of the month, except for today. Over on twitch.tv/Enigma911 at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can put in topics in the comments down below or in our Discord section for whatever you guys would like us to chat about and talk about and rant about, like Star Wars and other things that we have in the past. But remember, guys, our sponsor for the podcast is the merch store, so you can get all of your Enigma 911 words. Enigma 911 swag, t-shirts, mugs, backpacks, and more. I had a good run, and then I fucked up, but that's okay. But you can join us with that and support the brand. That'd be greatly appreciated. So, topic number one. Obviously, this is the first podcast of 2019, so it's a new year. It's a new me. Not really, but we're going to talk about New Year's and maybe some goals we have for ourselves, or just new outlooks, I guess you could say. New energies to put stuff into in the new year and see what we obviously can accomplish. Kev, how do you feel about resolutions for New Year's? Let's start off with that, I guess.
Just keep saying my name, Joe.
That's how we get a compilation. Start with...
As far as New Year's resolutions go, I think that the thing that you always hear that stat that like there's more gym signups in January than most gym cancellations in February.
Yeah.
I think the problem with New Year's resolutions is people make all these blanket ones, or like let's say they'll do like 5 or 6 New Year's resolutions, like eat healthier, lose weight, yada yada. I think the only way it works is if you pick one, and you make that your effort, and then you'll find, like, because what do they say? It takes like 21 days to start a behavior.
A habit, yeah.
Or a habit. By the end of the month, you'll know if your resolution is gonna stick, and then if it doesn't, try again. If it does, once you make it a 21 day mark, it's going to become something you just do. Maybe then think about one of your secondary resolutions that you kind of are floating around in your head and start working on that. And I think that's my stance on resolutions.
Yeah.
I think quality over quantity.
Yeah, I get that.
My name is Jeff.
There's nothing wrong with resolutions. There's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's a good thing to do, and I think it's a good energy. I think just people need to, maybe they're too reliant on, like, new year, I have to make a new goal. Like, you can make a new goal for yourself anytime. Like, if you feel like, I need to lose weight, then you can do that anytime. You don't have to wait until January 1st to get it done. But I agree with what you said with a clearer focus. Like, obviously we all want to do all these things and whatever, but, like, sometimes if you, I know they say put your eggs in multiple baskets or whatever, don't put them all in one basket. Like, sometimes that approach, you take such small steps that there's no progress gained, or you eventually drop it. So, like, I think for this mindset of New Year's goals, yeah, I think that's a good attitude of, like, invest in one. Once you feel comfortable enough with that you're making the progress you wanted to make, or maybe you reach the end goal if it wasn't, like, necessarily eat healthier, like, obviously that shouldn't have an endpoint, I guess. Then you add on to the next thing, whatever it may be, and maybe make it like total New Year resolution instead of just like the beginning forefront, I guess you could say. So, like, spread out your 5 goals across the 12 months. Like, this point I'm going to work on this one, and then go from there. So we have the stereotypical eat healthier, lose weight, things like that. I fall into those this year because I have put on a little weight.
Hey, that's insulation.
Yeah, true. It is cold. Is there anything specific that you have set for yourself for this year that you want to do? Whether it's a resolution or a goal or just something you've been working on that you want to continue doing.
Well, I had like 2, I guess.
Okay.
One was kind of basic.
Mm-hmm.
I cut out soda.
Okay.
which has been interesting because unfortunately I think I was drinking like a soda a day type
Mhm.
situation, and yeah, that's not good for you. I think they say like 70% of males, like the fat that we have is typically derived from like soda in America anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, but then the more substantial real one was to try and look at things more positively, or to try to adopt more of a positive attitude, because my mental outlook on things has not been great for a long time, so I gotta try and push myself into a good direction.
Fair enough.
Haven't succeeded yet in the first week of the new year, but
Mhm.
we got another 51 weeks
Yeah.
left, so practice makes frustration, but then frustration leads to anger, but then eventually someday
You'll be on the dark side.
adequacy.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
those are good. All right, that's good. That was a little callback to the last podcast to be decent. I like that.
Always a good thing.
Always a good thing. Yeah. Yeah, like I talked about, I want to lose weight. I want to exercise again. Obviously, I was doing taekwondo 5 nights a week.
Send me videos.
Oh, okay. Well, can do.
Shirtless.
That might keep my participation level up there. But yeah, just doing something. I back in November July. Oh boy, back in July I tried a program for a week. It's called Metabolic Meltdown. It's like a high intensity training, like high interval training, whatever you call it.
High intensity interval training.
Yeah, there you go.
HIIT.
And like I enjoyed it quite a bit. Like I mean, I felt dead after and destroyed and in pain, but like it was fun doing. I think that's something I need to kind of aim for. Like, I don't personally have a problem with like just going out and running, but I think I need somebody like I need a routine.
And running is like, unfortunately, long distance running will get you in like cardio shape, but it's terrible for getting your body to burn fat. Your high intensity interval training, though, the cool thing about that is you can do 12 minutes of it, and it's better than going out for a 6-mile run.
Wow.
And it's like, in track, we used to do a thing like when you go around the track, you would sprint the straight parts of the track and you jog the corners. And what that does is it keeps forcing your heart rate to go up and down, up and down, up and down, which is the point of high intensity interval training. And it actually creates this effect in your body afterward called the afterburn effect.
Okay.
So even when you're not working out for like the rest of your day, because your heart was going through such weird transitions for like 12 minutes, it actually has you burning fat even when you're not working out. You can do it for 12 to 15 minutes, and it's considered better than doing an hour of running.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, I would say if you're looking to do that, you can make it into a really fun way to stay in shape, and you only have to do it like 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah, the woman who had me try it, because she does the program and she recommended it, she goes every day, or at least 5 times a week, and I'm like, hold on, like after doing one, I'm like,
she's a psychopath.
No. Yeah. So I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I had the week, I went 1 day, 2 day, back to back, and then I was sick, so I like took 2 days off, and then I went back for another, and yeah, I think that would be my plan, is do like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because yeah, you feel sore the fucking shit after.
Well, and that's the thing, you got to give yourself, especially early on, you got to give yourself rest days. Like, she's probably been doing it for a while, where your body can handle that. When you're first doing it for your first month or so, you got to give yourself off days so that your muscle fibers heal, and then you can get right back to it. I don't know. It was cool because I got really into that for a while, and it gets to the point, your heart rate, like, I had a Fitbit at the time, so like even when you take a nap, your body starts becoming so finely tuned that even when you're taking a nap, you're burning calories and fat while napping. So it's like napping can become a workout, which is pretty awesome overall.
So yeah, I'd like to get into that, and I feel like I do better with someone telling me what to do. Like, I enjoy running now. I didn't always. And I mean, I'm not doing like marathons or whatever, but 2-3 mile run is nice, and it's a cutoff, listen to music and whatever. Go. But having that, I think that consistent schedule of like, I'm going these days at these times, I think that'll help, instead of just like, I'll go tomorrow for a run or whatever. Like, it's very what's the word, I don't know, self-involved. Like, you got to keep your own schedule and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. But that, and then dietary, I think I need to change a little bit, just maybe not eat out as much. I need to cut back on that. It's always the thing of like, oh, it's right there, just grab it. I don't have to worry about making anything or whatever the prep time. So those are I think are my big ones. And then obviously content wise, I want to see what new levels I can push. We talked about this as well, competition. I see what other people are doing, and I'm like looking at myself and comparing, and I'm like, I'm not happy with what I'm doing. How can I change it? So that, and then finally career wise, obviously I've set my goal of what I want to do. Now it's a matter of how do I get there, and I think this year I should try and take at least a couple steps towards that, even if it's not like the main end goal job I want, but like, okay, what could I do to get there, per se. So I think those are my big ones, and I gotta just now that I'm home and out of vacation mode, start working towards that and see what I can do. Like job hunt is obviously a big to-do list this week and next week and leading up, stuff like that. Okay, so I guess to wrap up this topic, anybody watching this with their New Year's goal, what would your advice be to them to like stick to them or accomplish it?
Well, I think one of the other reasons why I would suggest picking one to start is once you complete something successfully, it gives you a lot of motivation and drive to go with the second one.
Yep.
So, in that same method or the same thought process, within that one resolution, set up mini goals for yourself. And as you meet each one of those mini goals, you're going to be driven and happy by the completion factor, and it'll help you drive your way to the finishing of that resolution. So you kind of take the overall method and then shrink it down, same idea for your resolution that you're doing. I'd say the thing with weight loss though is you can't ever go by, I want to have drop this amount of weight in this amount of time, because each person's body is different.
Sure.
And so if you tell yourself I'm going to lose 5 pounds in 2 weeks, that's not necessarily healthy. You don't want to do it that way. They say typically what's healthy is like 1 pound or 2 a week, maybe.
Okay.
So, and then the other thing is too, as you start working out, you're going to start drinking more water to stay hydrated, and then that adds water weights. Then you'll get discouraged because you're like, oh, I'm actually a 0.5 pound heavier, and it's like, if you weigh yourself in the morning after you woke up, you haven't drank anything yet, you probably have gone pee and all that, you're going to be real light, and then when you check in later, you're going to be like 2 pounds heavier, you're going to be like, oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that, you just got to kind of keep an overall average of things in your mind, and don't do what I did. Don't lose 30 pounds in 2 months. That's super not healthy at any level, and I probably should have died.
Yeah, I get what you're saying with that. I would actually counter argue that. I think it's...
No.
It's a podcast with 2 people. I can do what I want.
No, you can't.
I think it's important to set a time. If you were doing weight loss, maybe not specifically a date, but maybe kind of give yourself a goal, but understand that if you don't reach that goal, it's not necessarily the end. Yes, you should have died to wrap up the topic. Don't talk to me, producer. Right? So, because I think with those mini goals and that timeline, I think you might be a little bit more focused towards it. Like a thing I noticed with school projects. Oh, you got a month to do this. Great. And then you wait till that last week and you're like, oh, fuck! So, I think giving yourself a time frame, or at least a time goal, I think is good. But once again, I agree with your point of everybody's body's different. For that specific example, don't be discouraged. That's my advice to people is if it doesn't go right immediately, don't be discouraged. Keep up with it. Keep going. It will happen. You just gotta keep pushing.
No, I like what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna disagree with it totally.
Yep, that's fine.
No, the other thing you gotta keep in mind is too, once you start working out, your muscles are reacting,
Yep.
and then they start growing.
Yep.
Right, and that's where when you feel all those pains and cramps, whatever, it's your muscle fibers have torn,
Mm-hmm.
and then once they heal up, they get bigger,
Right.
which is how you build weight, obviously. So the other thing you got to keep in mind is if you've been working out like crazy and you find that you're like a pound or two heavier, you have to realize you probably have been burning fat, but you've also been adding muscle.
Right.
And muscle is, I mean, I know a lot of people like to say this is like a joke, but it is actually true. Muscle does way more and more densely packed than fat.
Yeah.
So you might see you go up 2 pounds and get discouraged, but you also have to realize the way your body actually works, you may have added muscle and decreased fat.
Right.
So there's that.
Yeah. You gotta take everything into account.
Yeah, because there was a time where, like, when I was at school and I was dealing with, the stress of school, I was in the weight room, like, every day, sometimes twice a day. And I was drinking, like, those mass gainer shakes. I was drinking creatine.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing everything. And, like, in the first week, it was, like, 5 pounds added. And at the time, I was bummed by that. Because I was like, yo, I need to be yoked. I need to be jacked. And, like, so that's an opposite example, but the point is still true. You have to keep, be realistic about what your body's doing and why the weight might not be. That's what I'm saying, like, setting a goal for yourself of 195, like, let's say you're 205 and you want to be 195, setting that up as a goal might be not extremely realistic, because as your body's changing, you might actually put on a little weight, but it's not bad weight.
Right.
But that's...
I get that.
Let's just say this. Everything Brett said is well-intentioned, is well thought out. It's wrong. I'm right. That's just how it is.
Topic 2. Snowbike Mike, what's up? Gosh darn it, this guy looks good with the hairdo. Thanks.
Heck yeah, he does.
How's it going?
Handsome son of a gun.
Moving to topic 2. Game of Thrones. Alright, so
Also
Game
love
of
this
Thrones.
podcast.
Thank you. Game of Thrones, Mike, I'd love to have you on the podcast. I'm going to be messaging you soon. So Game of Thrones. I'm a late bloomer. Super late bloomer. Someone suggested it years ago. Who ignored it? This guy. Then someone else came along and suggested it. Who ignored it? Not this guy. So I'm finally on the Game of Thrones train. I've watched season 1 through 4 in the span of about 2 months. I watched season 1 back in November around Extra Lifetime, and then season 2, 3, 4 we kind of crushed it over the holiday break. So, no spoilers past season 4. And
Has
if
she not seen past season 4?
She has.
Oh.
She's all caught up. She's rewatching it. So, if you're in the chat and you care about Game of Thrones, or at least watching it at some point, and you haven't yet, we're about to go full in-depth spoiler from season 1 through season 4. So this will be the time to go la 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 until season 3, and then we'll go from there, I guess. So, my thoughts on Game of Thrones. Kevin, you're right. I love it. God, do I hate certain parts? Yes, I know. You're always right. Do I hate certain people and certain things and blah, blah, blah? But yes, I am invested. I'm into it. Let's go. So, season 4 is where I stopped. I'm not watching season 5, 6, 7, or 8 until me and the girlfriend are reunited and we're watching it together. We have to find out a way to do that. I might get HBO's. Get out of here. And then we'll go from there. Kevin's always right. Everybody just loves you. I know. I see it. Your bestie's a lady. Snowbike Mike's already jumping on your ship on one episode that he's seen you in.
Look, I just find that people of keen minds and high intellects, we come together. Except for, I don't know how to explain Lady. She's an Avalanche fan, so she clearly can't be that high on the list.
Oh boy. Alright, so we're bros.
Yes, we are bros, but, tentative on you changing your hockey affiliation.
Ooh. There's that many seasons already? Wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
Everybody just loves you.
Thank you, Pi. Alright, so where should we start? Okay. Go Avs. Hey.
Oh boy.
Snowbike Mike. Do you want to kind of like ask me my opinion on certain characters, or do you want me to just rant about things? Like, how do we want to tackle this?
In answer to your first question, no.
No. Because we already had kind of a pre-show conversation about certain people, in a way.
I'm gonna make some very general statements.
Cool.
About Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Anytime you watch. See you later.
Bye,
Snowbike Mike. Anytime you watch any of these kinds of shows like this or Lord of the Rings, it's always just kind of guaranteed that the good guys are gonna win.
Right.
Game of Thrones is much more realistic because in the real world, the good guys do not always win.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I was watching an interview with the creator of Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire, and he was saying, like, you look at like World War II in history, that was very clear cut. Like, you had good guys and you had really fucking bad guys. Like,
right.
And he was saying, like, you look at like the Nazis and whatever, they were like so evil that they almost seem cartoonish.
Yeah.
Not to take away from what they did being very real and bad, but it's just they're so bad it just doesn't even seem likely.
Mm.
But other than that, world history is like not usually always clear cut good guys versus bad guys. Right. So he wanted to make a series that was like much more realistic in that way, and I think he's done a pretty good job of it because you look at Robb Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, I think, that watches that show was rooting for Robb Stark and loved Robb Stark, and then look what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And Cersei is literally one of the worst women ever in the fictional world, and yet she is still safely in power and influencing the world, and that just seems terrible. But
cunt.
It's real. I didn't want to say it,
but I will, because it's true.
I didn't.
I know,
say it.
I know. You didn't have to say it. I will say it. We're gonna pull a Key and Peele where you're Obama and I'm the guy in the back saying how it is.
Luther?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. I love the realism of A Song of Ice and Fire. I'd say it's a little different from your typical fantasy genre where the good guys always win.
I think that's what makes it so interesting too, and makes you so invested, is because going into this, I'm all good guys are gonna win, and then Red Wedding happens and other things happen. I'm like, just get punched in the gut repeatedly, and I'm like, fuck you, because I was telling this to Lady when the events of Red Wedding happen. I'm like, nobody's getting there's no finished payoff to like, oh, we're getting revenge for Ned. There's never going to be a payoff. Now, I know Arya's still alive. I know Sansa's still alive at the end of season 4. Who knows about afterwards? I'm like, there's no fucking payoff for this guy.
You forgot Jon Snow.
Oh, sorry, Jon Snow.
But
there's
Ned Stark his dad.
Well, I already know that because I know what people said at the... Yeah, there's certain things I know about the end where I'm like, oh, okay. But as of right now, where we're at, Jon Snow, Sansa, Arya, that's where we're at. I'm like, there's no payoff. There's supposed to be an overarching storyline. Something bad happens, we grow, and then payoff. There's no payoff now, because they're fucking dead.
Unpopular opinion, Jon Snow's a bitch.
Wow. I mean, kind of in ways, yeah. But in other ways, he's got his ups and downs.
Jon Snow's a bitch.
So, I'm like, ugh.
Look, everybody knows who the real king is. It's Stannis. The Manus.
And now, the chat will explode!
Look, Daenerys, okay, in theory, she is the remaining child of the former royal family that had held the throne for 300 years.
Correct.
I get it. Great. Whatever. Until she makes it back to Westeros, if that should occur.
Right.
There's only... In the realm of what's going on in Westeros, in the realm of what actually happens in kingdoms, there's only one king. His name is Stannis. Everybody else go to hell.
So, the whole kingdom thing is a whole smorgasbord of who the fuck is supposed to be there in their minds. But like you said pre-show, the lineage rule, yes, Stannis should be technically in charge.
Yep.
Not the younger sibling who I was cheering for, who
Total
then got
doucher.
mortared.
Total doucher.
And then
Had it
not
coming.
any of the Joffrey, the siblings, any of that because of biology and, blonde kids don't come out of brown-haired people.
Except me.
Yeah, I know. I'm just when Ned Stark was like, wait, basic genealogy for our time.
False. Now, here's the problem with that. Gendry is a bastard.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, the
blacksmith
kid. Yep, he's locked. No, he got in a rowboat last we left him.
Yeah, but
Because
so
of the other guy.
in the Game of Thrones world, if you're a bastard, you get like a last name.
Snow.
Well, only if you're from
Mo.
the north.
Oh, I did not know. I didn't pick
So
that up.
you've got the Seven Kingdoms, right?
Okay, thank you, lady.
So depending on what kingdom you're born in, there's a different bastard name.
Okay.
So if you're from the north, like
Jon Snow and then the Bolton kid.
yeah, Ramsay Snow.
There you go. Holy shit.
Yes, like
well,
that.
we'll get on to him.
But so your father can adopt you legally and make you a legitimate authority.
Like Ramsay.
Right. So
Excuse me.
Gendry was never made official.
Right.
And now that his father has passed, I don't believe that you can legalize him.
Uh-huh.
So no, Gendry. Well, I mean, he could become king. I mean, Robert became king, and he had like absolutely no lineage. Well, actually, that's not even true. Robert actually did have some Targaryen blood.
Mm.
Nobody likes to talk about that, but like his grandma or great grandma was a Targaryen, so technically he had like a little bit of blood, but he wasn't enough.
Okay.
But yeah, no, Gendry has no claim, and he's cool, I guess. He's whatever. I don't know. I don't care about him at all
No?
whatsoever.
I'm fine with
he, whatever. But that brings up some interesting problems later on in later seasons. Anyway,
Ooh, okay.
we're not gonna worry about them.
No, we're not there yet.
We're not gonna talk about them. But
let's see. Okay, so we
it's
talked.
Stannis. Stannis is the one true king.
Stannis the Manus.
Yes.
So, I'm sure everybody's again in agreement. Joffrey's a fuckwad of a person. His payoff in season 4, quite nice.
He's
Not
a
what
twat.
I was expecting. A twat, yes. Not what I was expecting. I told Kevin, as I told Lady as we were watching it, or at least after, I thought he was faking the whole poison thing, and then seeing his face afterwards, I was like, yes. So that was nice. Glad he's out of the picture. Get him out of here.
But the question is who killed him?
Well, in the season, it seems like the grandma of Marjorie kind of admits to it, but I don't think they concrete close the door on that. But I think at one point she says yes.
So you have seen that? So yeah, she.
Yeah,
she
completed
did.
season 4. She did. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, in season 4, yeah, she kind of talks to Marjorie about that because she's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna let him do that to my granddaughter." Blah 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 blah. And she's the homie too, by the way. The grandma, she's down with everybody and just speaks her mind. And nah, you're a piece of shit or whatever. I love that.
I love her and Tywin's relationship. Actually,
Mhm.
there's a lot of really good give and take there.
Yeah.
Love Tywin.
Right on to... Wait, no, Tywin's the old man. No, I'm sorry. I always mix him and Tyrion up because the tie. So you go on Grandpa rant, and then I'm going to talk Tyrion, the boy.
No, I just think, Tywin, it's just, you know where you stand with him, and if you don't go outside that system, things just fucking move. I mean, so the Mad King, alright, Tywin was his hand of the king for a long time, and while that was the case, the Seven Kingdoms were at their most prosperous and stable that they had been in a long time. And that's actually what caused the Mad King to become super jealous of Tywin, because people were giving him all the credit, which, I mean, they should have. He was the one doing it, but the Mad King was a nutcase. But,
excuse me.
yeah, Tywin just knows how to get shit going. He gets what the reality of the kingdoms are. He knows how things have to be done. And he knows that if people step out of the line, that it has to be dealt with in certain ways, i.e. the Rains of Castamere. Those people drowned to death at Tywin's, because these people, like, they, like, weren't gonna pay their, like, because, like, the minor lords have to pay the big lord for his protection and all that.
Right.
And they wouldn't pay Tywin because his dad was such a pushover. So their city was, like, built into the ground or whatever. Tywin literally filled their city with water, and they all died.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
why the song Rains of Castamere, it's like a play on words. But, yeah, if you don't fuck him over, you don't really have much to fear. You have a lot to profit. I mean, look at Roose Bolton. You know, he does the Lannisters' bidding. He's now Warden of the North.
Right.
I'm not saying that Tywin's a good guy. I don't think he's a bad guy either. I think he was intended to be, like, this, like, gray area. Because he's capable of love. Like, he loves Jaime. He loves, no, he doesn't really love. He loved his wife. He's just a man shaped by his time and his culture, and he knows how to get shit moving. I respect the efficiency. I do. I'm an engineer. What can I say? I don't know.
So yeah, I agree on the gray area, because when we talked about this also in pre-show, is when Arya was around as his lackey, I guess we could say, for lack of a better term. Like, he was very kind and sincere. Like, he was a little rough around the edges at the beginning, but, like, he grew to like her and stuff like that, and was very trusting, I guess. Like, that, I was like, alright, he's just a dude general doing what he's supposed to do, you know, kind of thing. Then we get to season 4 at the very end, when Tyrion, the real true homie in my opinion, and then the whole Shay shit. So in the first in the first 4 seasons, we learn that Tywin fucked up Tyrion, his son, by setting up with a whore that he hired to marry, and it was all fake relationship, and Tyrion thought it was real. Then it turns out Dad was in charge. The same thing happens again with Shay, pretty much, essentially, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And, I hated that. So, glad he's out of the picture. So, yeah, Tyrion is the one where, like, I'm behind. And I joked about it after Red Wedding. I'm like, okay, I just need to hate everybody from here on out, because I was too invested in the Starks, and that's why I hurt after for a long time. I just need to go into this hating everybody, and he's the only one where I'm, like, sticking with it, kind of like behind in his corner, and I know it's gonna, you know, fucking kick me in the ass later, probably. Who knows? But he's, like, it's weird cheering for him, because technically he's a Lannister, but, like, he's been pretty cool. Like,
but see, now you're judging a book by its last name.
That's what I do.
And that's
Mikhail.
That's just not fair to anybody.
Well, that's why I'm, like, hating everybody now. Like, oh, new person? Fuck you. Don't get invested in you. Like, for example, the Viper character, didn't really give a shit about him, but when he got his head exploded, I was like,
that was pretty fucking grody.
Okay. Oh, no, it was gross as shit, but I was like, I don't feel anything right now. Okay. Oh, well. I felt more for Tyrion, being like, well, shit, now you're doing your whatever. You lost. But I don't know. And then, there's a lot of fucking... I had little to no reaction. No, because I didn't give a shit about him. I was like, alright, cool.
Yeah, I mean,
you won, and then you're taunting your ass off, and then your head exploded.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of interesting characters, per se, in this story, from main people to side to...
See, but you see your hate of Tywin at the end there, though. Think about it like this.
Yep.
When he's talking with the grandson that's going to become king, right? Like, he's giving him good advice on how to be a king, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that would have been the influence. Now that he's gone, the only person left to influence the new king and ruler is Cersei. So, say what you want about Tywin, but Westeros is bound for some crazy fuck.
For sure. No, I also, pre-show, talked to you about that moment, and I thought that was awesome. This is a grandpa talking to his grandson like, hey, there's a lot of shit, and you're young, just take people's advice. We'll get past this, and then when you're older, do your thing. I thought that was fine. That's why I'm like, on Tywin overall. It was just that was a gut punch at the end of where we stopped off. So yeah, I have a sour taste in my mouth. But yes, I understand the positives and the negatives of
but
with her womanly influence.
But Marjorie can kick rocks for all I care. She's like one of my least favorite female characters of that show. She's just like a conniving little bitch.
Which she came out to be, yeah. Like, I was fine with her when the little brother Renly, excuse me. When Renly was still around, and it was Marjorie, and then there was the brother. Like, all of them being cool with what was going on, I was down with that. I wasn't, like, fully invested in your character, but I was like, alright, that's cool. I'm glad you're forward-thinking, or whatever you want to call it, with this. And then, yeah, seeing her little behind-the-scenes sneaky shit, I'm like, oh, alright.
No.
I thought her apparel was quite funny compared to everybody else. It's either, here's my boobs, or I'm going to collect rainwater. I was like, what?
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So yeah, we got a plethora of characters going on here. We want to start talking about some of the crackpot characters. They're like off the walls crazy. We got crazy ass sister living on is it the Erie or the Isles? I think it's the Erie.
Erie.
With the hole.
Yeah, the moon door.
Yeah, the moon door. Her crazy ass son sucking on a titty when he's 10. We got Ramsay torture a lot, everything. Let's see. Theon just being Theon.
Theon's a tragic character. And that you have to wait a little bit more, but you'll see there's like a full circle moment at one point where you're sitting there going, oh, fuck. This guy is just a victim of circumstance. Like, one complaint I have with Game of Thrones is, the Ironborn and how they're depicted.
Is that Theon's family?
Yeah,
Okay.
Well, like the people that live on the Iron Islands. In the books, these people are like Vikings. Like they're super badass. Like they're a very small island group, and yet somehow they have been kicking the shit out of everybody in Game of Thrones land for like fucking ever.
Okay.
And I don't know, like they just like came off as douchebags. Like they're just so much cooler in the show or in the books. Like he's not in the show ever, but in the books Theon has an uncle called Victarion, who's like the admiral of their fleets. The dude is a badass motherfucker. He literally destroyed the entire Lannister fleet on his own during like the first war after the Targaryens were ousted. These people are badass, and yet they're like sending like 12 people to take Winterfell. Like, fuck you. No, that's not how the Ironborn roll. Like, I don't know. I get like in the books Theon attacked Winterfell with a small force. I get it, but like, I don't know. They just didn't come off like they should have when these people are literally like based off the Viking people. Vikings are badass motherfuckers. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But yeah, about that. I don't know. I think it's cool how like George R.R. Martin incorporates like actual history into the books too. Like, so the Wall is based off
China.
No.
Damn.
So like when the Romans invaded England, they started heading up to Scotland.
Okay.
And it's like people from Ireland came over to Scotland, and the Scottish were there, and they were gonna fight the Romans. And like my ancestors used to paint themselves blue, and they'd be naked, and they'd go into combat, and the Romans were just so like, what the fuck? That they were like, you know what? We don't care about anywhere north of this point here. So they built a wall called Hadrian's Wall to keep like the Celts and the Celtic people out, and they're like, fuck it. Fuck these people. This is a wall. You don't come south of it. We won't go north. That's it. So like the wall is that, and like the wildlings are like the Celtic people.
Right.
Then like the Red Wedding is based off an actual Scottish wedding that happened, or there was like a huge massacre.
Wow.
and then like the whole like fighting back and forth for like control of the throne. That is literally all based off of the Wars of the Roses that happened in England, and I read a book about it, and the crazy shit about it is, the Wars of the Roses is so much fucking crazier than anything that happened in Game of Thrones, and that was real life.
Mm.
Like, dude, there were like 5 or 6 kings of England in the space of like a year at one point, and they all just kept fucking killing each other, and it's just like, I was reading the book, and I'm like, dude, George R. R. Martin watered this shit down for this series, and when you realize that, you realize humanity is fucked.
So, backtracking to the wall.
The water.
Because there was something I learned about this series, I think it was season 2, that I was highly disgusted with or unhappy with. So, as someone who hadn't watched the show, obviously had seen promo images and merchandise and whatever. White Walkers. I thought, man, these guys look cool. You know, all the white skin, how their faces are intricate, the hair, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, they look really cool. So season 1, when I hear White Walkers, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Don't see them for a while. Rip. Season 2, we learn, and season 1, we learn about the zombie shit. You die in the north, you don't burn the body, they're a zombie now. They work with the White Walkers. Season 2, we see this big army of zombies. And I become pissed. I'm like, we have these cool White Walker people, and then you got all these jobbers. I'm just...
Well, so the thing about that is, when the wall was built, there were these people called the Children of the Forest.
Yep.
They come up in the show.
Is that the kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. We just saw the Jesus tree and...
So, when they were building the wall, the Children of the Forest put a spell into the wall, and the White Walkers cannot attack the wall or go south of it while that magic is there. So that's why they're just kind of wandering around aimlessly, but also, the more wildlings they kill, which is why the wildlings are fleeing, the more soldiers they have.
Right, no, I get that. I get the, the logic behind it, but, I want way more of those guys. Those look cool.
Without spoilers, you're going to get a shitload of them.
Yes! Good. Because I'm like, what? What?
See, God damn it, I wish you were, I think a season short of this one scene I want to talk about so bad, and yet...
Is it the baby with the king?
No.
Okay.
That was cool.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not like a spoiler, it's just, you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So they obviously can turn dead bodies into soldiers, right?
Yep.
But you never actually really see that happen. You just, you see it happen, but you don't know how they do it.
Right.
And there's just one scene where, one of the White Walkers just goes like this, and all these dead bodies just stand up, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Okay.
Dude, these people are gonna wreck shit.
Mm-hmm. And then, that was a question I had. It was a dumb question. So when they're attacking, the wildlings are attacking the wall with the giants and all that.
You're probably thinking, where are the White Walkers?
No. So they're attacking at night. They're shooting their arrows from the wall. If a guy died, however, at night through that attack, would they immediately reanimate into a zombie, or do we have to wait a full 24-hour period?
This isn't like the Walking Dead, where if you die, you will come back.
Mm.
One of the White Walkers has to be there and perform that magic.
Okay. So they don't know that. That's why they're like, oh, burn the bodies, or whatever.
No,
or it's just they can reanimate them whenever.
Yeah, so their basic idea of burning the bodies is if we burn them now, we don't have to try and kill them later.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
So, it might be season 1, when the first zombies resurrect at the wall itself, were they playing possum until they could strike?
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's how my boys, the White Walkers, roll.
Everybody be cool. You're just gonna go in there.
Shut the fuck up, pretend you're dead.
Okay. Alright. Then that makes sense, because it's
and I'm not really sure if it's just one of those things that once they were sure that the bodies were there, they reanimated them from a distance. I don't know.
Okay.
But
it has to be a spell.
Yeah, there's a spell there. Yeah, because they're awesome.
Mm-hmm. And then the discovery of the dragon glass. That's cool. And Sam getting the first kill. Yeah. And then he gives all of it away. He doesn't keep any for himself. That's a little discouraging, but whatever.
Well, so Dragonstone Island, where Stannis was based for a long time.
Okay.
It's this island off of, actually really close to King's Landing.
Okay.
The whole island is Dragonstone.
Oh.
Or Dragonglass.
Oh.
So, now that they, like, the whole idea, I guess, is now that they know that it is effective, go down there and make it.
Okay.
Yeah, because, like, all those daggers that they came across were, like, the Knights, or the Children of the Forest had an agreement with the Night's Watch where every year they'd give them a certain amount of Dragonglass weapons.
Ah.
But I don't know if that was still going on at the time of Game of Thrones or if that was something from the ancient times, but that's what Sam found. He found, like, an old cache.
Yeah, it was, like, on a fist was the landmark or something?
Yeah.
That they dug up randomly?
Yeah.
In
Dude,
the snow.
But when you're watching Sam, Ed, and whatever the fuck the other guy's name is, Griff, when they're out like looking for
With
food
those
or
John's
something.
boys.
Yeah, and then you hear the horn blow once, and they're like, "Oh, Rangers coming back!" And then twice, Wildlings, and then they're like third time, and everybody's like, "Oh."
Yeah, and then they just book it.
Yeah, when I was watching that, I'm like, "What does the third one mean?" And the next you know, you just see the Army of the Dead. I'm like,
well, yeah, they talked about it earlier because Sam read it in a book.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I picked up on that. And then, yeah, that was interesting that they just, like, the White Walker's like, sup, and just let him be.
So, there's a lot of really, like, if you get on Reddit and you look at, like, the Game of Thrones discussions going on, you shouldn't do that now because you haven't read all the stories or seen all the shows yet, but there's a lot of debate about whether the White Walkers are actually the good guys of the story. And I'm not saying that that's true or not, because I don't see a whole lot of validity to it, but there's some really interesting points brought up, and you're sitting there going, oh.
It's one of those theories that makes you rethink everything.
Yeah. I don't know. Now, when you see Bran...
Yeah.
When you last saw Bran, what was he doing?
So he just was talking to the old man.
Yeah.
The boy died with the skeletons outside. The sister's in there. Hodor's in there. Did the wolf make it in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're in there. They met the little girl
Summer
thing. Yeah, Summer's the dog. Yeah. And then they're talking to who I call Jesus, who's just the old man, Father Time, sitting there. And he's like, "You're gonna be able to fly," and I'm like, what? So that's where I left him off. And apparently, according to Lady, we're not even going to see them for
a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's... Oh, fuck. That brings up some other cool shit that I can't bring up right now.
Okay, gotcha. So anyways, he's doing his own warg thing. Yeah. Which, man, you really feel for Hodor. I mean, I know something with Hodor's coming up, but man, you feel for Hodor when he, like, notices, like, he killed a dude for the first time after Bram took over him.
He's like a child.
Yeah, he's like, fuck, and that sucks. I mean, I get why Bram has to do it, because, paralyzed and whatever, and he's their best weapon at least, but it sucks, like, just seeing that. So yeah, he's up there. I kept making fun of the little brother.
Oh, I hate that kid.
Yeah.
Rickon?
Yeah. I like peanuts. Billy climbs the tree fastest. No one gives a fuck about Billy climbing the tree.
I don't like Rickon. He's just like a stupid character. Like,
yeah.
And like even in his role in the show and his role in the books end up diverging quite a bit, but either way, he's fucking useless to the storyline, and it's just like, George, why bother? Like, that kid should have just been aborted. I mean, like,
whoa. Okay.
And I don't know. Alright, look, there's only like 2 members of the Stark family that I actually give a shit about. Ned and Robb. Everybody else in that family can fuck right off, alright? Like, I mean, I guess Arya's cool. She's got her own journey that she's gonna go on that's kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. Catelyn's just a whiny bitch, and, like, when she got killed at the Red Wedding, I just was like so glad I didn't have to hear her fucking voice anymore.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's the actress or if it was the character itself, because in the books, she's just such a hemming and hawing little bitch, and
I was
like,
fine with her.
I don't know. She's super douche to John, which I get that
Yeah.
she thinks that, you know, he's Ned's bastard or
That
whatever.
one scene where she's like, "Oh, I prayed, and then he got sick, and then I prayed to make him better, but I couldn't hold up my deal." I'm like, "All right, fuck you."
No, like, I'm just sick of her shit, and like, I don't know.
I was fine with her except for that one scene where she's like, "Oh, I couldn't love him." I'm like, "Okay, bitch."
Again, if every member of the Stark family except Ned and Robb suffered painful, horrifying deaths, I really wouldn't have cared. Like, it would have been like, oh, Ned and Robb, at least we have the good ones. Like, but no.
We get B team.
No, first off, let me just say this. The guy that plays Robb is super cool. He's Scottish, he's got that cool accent thing going on, women love him, I get it, he's a handsome guy. Let's just, you know, his name should be Handsome Robb, like the dude from Italian Job, alright? Rest in peace. Yeah, I think it might have been her, because like she's got like kind of like a smoker voice, you know, like that kind of like smoky, like kind of gravelly voice.
I guess.
I don't know. She irritated the shit out of me. I'm not gonna try and justify that because if you don't feel the same way, you're an idiot. But no, I got sick of her shit. Yeah, but like, you know.
In that situation,
Look at Walder Frey though. Like, what was his daughter gonna
I
look
marry my daughters.
Look at it like this from Robb's perspective. He's from the north. Literally the least diverse place in the kingdoms, other than maybe the Iron Islands. And then this really exotic chick from Essos shows up and she's, you know, cute and she's different. My man couldn't help himself.
Oh, no, I don't
You
think
know?
we're blaming that. I think what Lady was getting at is, like, how he thought, like, oh, I betrayed your trust. Everything's cool.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. In the world of Game of Thrones, if somebody invites you into their home and they extend that protection, like, the whole point, Catelyn kept pressing, like, are you going to feed us, are you going to feed us in the book? And they did feed them, and the whole understanding was, as soon as somebody brings you into your house and feeds you...
You're fine.
Yeah, because, like, your honor would not permit. So him doing that was, like, completely unheard of.
Right.
So we're talking about a world where your word is supposed to be your honor, and you're supposed to cling to that. It's kind of similar to, like, I know, like, friends of mine that were in Afghanistan said if the elders invite you into their home and they serve you tea, they're putting you under their protection.
Nice.
So that's considered like a huge thing, and when somebody does that, you know that they're cool with you at that moment.
Yeah.
So for Walder Frey to have gone against that shows, one, he's a douche, but then two, it was an absolute violation of everything that culture believed in. So that's why Robb walked into that.
Big thing.
Yeah. And then they mounted his wolf's head on his body. That was just fucking weird. Like, those Frey people, man, like,
well, they're all inbred.
you live on a bridge.
Sisters.
I mean, you might as well live under your fucking bridge.
They
so
are
weird.
trolls.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was rough. That was rough. What else we got? I like the Tyrion's, like, guard guy that just he hired to fight for him. That
Bronn.
Yeah, he's cool, and now he's getting married to some other random chick we don't know.
Yeah, he's getting married.
The Hound was a nice arc. He's still kind of an ass, but that was a nice arc. Can we talk about Edmure's face when he sees the bride? Yeah, that was pretty funny. How he's like so.
Yeah, but so the question you gotta ask yourself after you watch the Red Wedding, and I asked myself, was, wait, what happened to Edmure?
Oh, he's probably destroyed.
Maybe.
Well, we'll never know, I guess.
Because look at it like this. Edmure was the heir to Riverrun. So, him being married to the daughter of Walder Frey means that Walder Frey's family is now linked into the rule of Riverrun, which is a huge and prosperous area. So, the thought I had coming away from that was he's not dead because they need him.
Riverrun is where now?
It's like Walder Frey is like a mini lord of Riverrun. Riverrun is like just south of the north.
Okie dokie.
But so my whole thought process was Walder Frey probably just wants that dude to pump a kid into his daughter, and
then we'll take care of whatever.
That was my theory.
Gotcha.
Because Walder Frey is a sick fuck.
Yeah. Let's see. Any other big points that we haven't really hit on, or characters? Talked about Hound. Mountain, something's going on with him, with the guy who made the hand for Jamie.
Qyburn, yeah, that dude's a creep.
I keep making fun of it, like Mecha Mountain. He's gonna make him into a robot, but I don't know. Oh, we didn't talk about Stannis' girlfriend, the Red Priestess, and the whole religion. So, first, you pump a baby into her, and it's a demon that kills somebody. Yeah. And now she's bullshitting off leeches, which just perchance luck that 2 out of 3 of these leeches have died so far, or at least the people they named.
Yeah, but see, you say it's luck, but Beric Dondarrion's Red Priest has brought him back to life multiple times.
Which is also fucked up.
So, what I came away with, and what my opinion still is that there is something to the Red God. Mm-hmm. We just don't know what the fuck his deal is.
That's the God of Light, right? That's the
Lord of Light.
Okay, yeah. So, like, I couldn't remember for the life of me who the third leech named was. Was it Tywin? They had Robb Stark they named. They had Joffrey they named.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was Tywin, because if so, then fuck me.
No,
I didn't even think about it.
It wouldn't have been Tywin because he's not a king. They were killing off all the pretender kings. Was it Daenerys? I haven't seen that in so long now.
Okay. Because, yeah, we hit a block where we just couldn't think of who the fuck the third
It wasn't Renly, because Renly was already dead.
Right, he was the demon
thing.
Okay, because, yeah, the way it was Balon Greyjoy, which is that the Theon's dad?
Oh, yeah, maybe it was Balon.
That's the dad, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so nothing's happened to him. Because, yeah, I get what you're saying now with, like, the guy's been brought back to life, so there is legitimacy there. But me, I think I might have said it before I saw that guy get resurrected, was like, oh, this bitch is just lucking out. There's other things happening. She's going to be like, my magic works!
No, so,
that's what Google told me.
Theon said, yeah. The thing with Melisandre is she doesn't have a super great grasp on what her abilities are. Mm-hmm. So, like, the priest, like, when she's talking to the priest that's with Beric Dondarrion,
yep,
and it gets brought up at one point that he resurrected him.
Yep.
She's totally taken back by it.
Oh, yeah, she's like, how many times did you come back and stuff like that?
Because she's not fully trained or fully knowledgeable on what she can do. So for her right now, I feel like she's throwing darts out there to see what can I do.
What sticks. Mm-hmm.
And that's going to get interesting.
And then we got the Stannis' daughter with, like, the dragon scales or skin condition, whatever. Apparently she's important. Apparently she's important, and Melisandre's interested in her.
She's kind of important.
Well, I mean, at least from where they left off, like, you need to bring your daughter, and whatever.
Well, because according to her, the thing that I find really stupid about it is she keeps talking about she needs a king's blood.
Yeah.
Right? Now, technically, if Stannis is king,
take his blood.
His daughter has the king's blood.
Right.
So, you gotta figure she's trying to use her for something.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing that's ridiculous about that is so many of the people in the show that, I don't know, claim to be kings really aren't. So it's like, I don't know how you know whose blood is going to be sufficient.
Oh.
Because, like, Gendry's a bastard of a usurper. Like, how is his blood king's blood? Mm-hmm. It seems like the only people that would legitimately have king's blood are the Targaryens, but...
So that's the thing about Game of Thrones that I learned when watching this is, holy shit, you need a pen and paper to write down who the fuck who is. Like, I'm surprised I'm catching on to as much as I am. Like, season 1...
It's because you watched it all at once.
True. But, like, I mean, like, even just keeping track of, like, who's doing what, who's related to who. Like, obviously, you can tell. I still have to ask. There's so many goddamn players in this fucking thing, and we can wipe them out at any point, and we can add a shit more at any point. It's just like,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's... Circling back to what we talked about at the beginning, how it's not a traditional good guy wins.
Yeah, it's not your typical
I
fantasy.
think that's what makes it so appealing, and that's why I like it so much. And thank you for recommending it. Thank you for making me watch it, lady. Zip it. And I look forward to watching the rest. I don't know if I want to catch up before season 8 and then watch it week to week, because I think that'll kill me.
No, you have to do it that way. There's a catharsis in your pain.
But week to week.
I know. Dude, let me just put it to you like this.
Mm-hmm.
During not this latest season, was it the latest season?
7?
Yes, 7. I'm trying to remember what the time frame is. 7 was last year. No, year before. Yeah, year before. It's been a while since the last Game of Thrones episode. I was working on the ship, and thankfully I was in Norfolk, and it was like every Sunday I was waiting for it to, because like I had the HBO app on my phone, and I couldn't watch it live. You have to wait till it comes on after.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, on the app after. But then you had to wait like another hour or two because all these other people were coming in and tuning in, so it would keep crashing. So you'd have to wait.
Yeah.
So I'd wait till like 4 or 5 hours after it showed. I'd be out in my truck, and I went to this gas station called Dodgers because they had really good chicken and food. I'd go get a shitload of food. I'd park up in the back of my truck, have all this great food, and I'd be sitting there with my phone in front of me watching Game of Thrones. And let me tell you, it adds a little spice to your life.
Just a little event. Like
Yeah, it's a little thing you look forward to. Like, it becomes a part of your life for that. You gotta catch up.
Okay.
I'll restart my HBO and you can borrow my account or something.
Well, thanks.
Because, yeah, you gotta catch up because I got so much more shit to talk to you about. And it's really bothering
Kev
me.
comes back. Game of Thrones rant part 2.
Yeah, because I think it starts again this year, right?
Yeah.
I want to say like May. April or May, so we're getting close.
Yep.
Might like, oh, fuck, I'll be on a ship then and I probably won't be here.
That's alright. We'll talk about it. It will be the season 5 to season 8 part 2, just conglomerate of shit.
I'm gonna have to like binge watch as a motherfucker when I get home. Oh god, that's gonna be terrible. Cause you know what's the problem? Every time you go online on the news sites, they always say like, "Oh, you won't believe it happened in Game of Thrones." And I'll be sitting there going, "No, shut up, go,
Close the window.
No, you gotta catch up and you gotta wait like the rest of us so you can feel it. Cause otherwise, you're never gonna have that feeling again about the show.
True.
Like having to wait week to week.
Yeah.
And it's fun because the whole week in between, people are online coming up with fan theories about what this episode really meant, and it's so fun to kind of like explore those thought processes and being like, oh, maybe. What do you think?
Instead of here's the result already or whatever.
Yeah, no, I get like the fun of binge watching is there because I didn't start watching until it was into the beginning of season 3, so I was able to binge watch 1 and 2, and that was because my uncle. I was staying at their house briefly for like an overnight, and he said something like, "Oh, you're watching Game of Thrones." Well, I'm like, "Oh yeah, how is that? I heard about it." And he goes, "Dude, there's a lot of really awesome violence. If you like Braveheart, you'll love this." And he's like, "Plus, there's hot chicks everywhere." And I was like,
sold.
All right, well played, sir.
Right.
Yeah,
We'll get on that.
Yeah, you better.
All right.
Also, I have something you might be interested in.
Ooh. AKA, I need to partake in it, or else he'll be pissed at me again if I don't.
No, so like
after a while,
George R.R. Martin started writing these books back in like the early '90s.
Okay.
And he had two, because like early on there weren't like a lot of people. I mean, because it's like if you go into Barnes and Noble, there's all these series of fantasy and science fiction books, right? And like most people might not go into Barnes and Noble looking for that, right? You know. So he had like a really small fan base at first, and then people started being like, yo, like, I just read this book, you gotta read, it's so freaking good, you know, so it grew by word of mouth until finally HBO was like, yo, let's make a show out of this, right? But so, when he first started writing, he had these two fans, that were married to each other, obviously, but, like, one was from, like, Spain, and one was from somewhere else, but anyway, it doesn't matter, but they were married, and they're in the U.S., and they were writing him, like, if, like, in one scene, let's say he said Tyrion in the book had blue eyes or something, and then the next scene he said, like, green eyes, they would, like, write to him, like, yo, dude, you, like, consistency issue, right? So he was like, oh, God, you know, I'm sorry, you know, it's just so many characters, so many things, I forget little details. But anyway, they created a book, like, about that big, and it has literally the backstory and history of everything in Game of Thrones, like, all the different families, the wars that took place before. You read through that, like, you don't have to read it all, but, like, if you're interested in, like, okay, what's the deal with the Greyjoys, like, what's their history, you can flip to their section and read through it, and it's got literally everything. Awesome book.
Cool.
I won't see you again for a while, so I can't get it to you,
Yeah.
but it's really awesome, and it makes everything a lot easier to kind of grasp. So, yeah, it's pretty great. My buddy told me to get it because he's a huge Game of Thrones guy. Like, he read all the books, and he literally... alright. What I'll do is, I'll look it up.
As you do.
As I want to do. He just wrote another book, though. George R. R. Martin.
They did?
I saw it in Barnes & Noble. It's a brand new book, and it's about, like, the history of the kingdom before, and I'm like, dude, finish the fucking main books, and then we can deal with the pre-shit. Okay. Yeah, alright, lady, it's called The World of Ice and Fire, The Untold History of Westeros and the Game of Thrones. It's him, Elio M. Garcia Jr., and Linda Antonsen, but... really good. I recommend it. It's kind of like a collector's thing. Like, once you have it, you're gonna be glad you have it.
Cool. Very nice. Alright, topic 3.
Try.
Viewers, I hope you've been brainstorming on what you want to talk about, because now is your time. Lady, Pie, whoever else is in the chat.
Now it's your time to shine.
Yeah. Good times. Let us know, what would you like us to talk about for Kevin's final topic for at least the time being on the podcast?
Yeah, I'm going away again, guys. I probably won't be back until maybe August. Gotta go do another deployment. Gotta go serve this wonderful country of ours and you know, all that good shit. So, yeah.
Make it a good one.
Make it a good one. Won't see me again for a while. Crying face.
Oh.
Yeah. This time really flew by. This leave went by a lot quicker than It seems like to me just yesterday we were holding the first podcast together and you were like, oh, you're here till January, like, awesome. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be sick. And then it quickly went away.
Yeah. That's how it works out.
Yep. And that's why I hate my life.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's special.
When's your, is it your cousin's wedding you're coming back for?
Yeah, she's getting married the first week of September, so I gotta be back for that.
Right.
If so, I'm gonna quit.
What hope do you have for the next gen console? Or next console generation? So they have kind of announced them, but kind of haven't. They have code names, at least, for...
Well, it's gonna be PS5.
PS5, well, yeah, PS5 and Xbox 720 or whatever.
No, so it's been Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One. So I think what you can expect next
540
is the Xbox Infinity.
Oh.
Or as my Filipino friends would say, Xbox Infinity.
Infinity War.
So, it's gonna be some stupid, nonsensical number. I mean, you would think at this point they would say Xbox 2.
Right.
They won't. Let's be honest here. They're not gonna. They're gonna do something fucking stupid.
Damn it, Microsoft. You can't count your Windows programs, right? And now you can't do your consoles.
And they couldn't make Vista work. Rest in peace.
That's right.
Let's be honest. Windows XP was the best. And then it's quickly gone to shite ever since.
I don't know, Pi. What
Shut
up?
your mouth. No, like, I'm really hoping that the game developers get away from this stupid microtransaction shit. Like, we talked about it before on a podcast. You play video games because you get a sense of accomplishment, you get a sense of enjoyment, you get escapism. This idea that some fucking noob that's never done anything can have better equipment than you and you've put in way more hours in game time is just total bullshit. And it just feeds into this idea that millennials are all about instant gratification. We don't want to work towards anything. And I don't think that's true. I really don't. And if there's one hopeful thing, EA's total failures with Star Wars Battlefront, their new Battlefield game, and the failure of Fallout 76, I'm kind of hoping that this sends a message to some asshole in some corporate boardroom somewhere, but knowing America, it won't.
Well, on the other side of that, for example, you're talking pay-to-win microtransactions.
Mm-hmm.
There are other microtransactions that are not pay-to-win, that are simply cosmetic. Overwatch, for example. Fortnite, which is blowing up everywhere, obviously. Things like that. I think those microtransactions are fine. If it is not skill-based and whatever, that's a way you can support the company for a game you like. For example, Overwatch, when that first came out, I'm like, I'm not buying loot boxes. A couple months in, bought loot boxes. Fortnite, I'll never buy V-Bucks. Bought V-Bucks, got cosmetic shit. But those I'm fine with. I find that a way that you can support the company farther. This is a game I enjoy, I like. It's purely cosmetic, it has nothing to do with skill. If those are things you want to do, that's fine. That's telling you, I like this game, please support it more. I totally agree with you on the pay-to-win bullshit. We were talking about, also before the podcast, Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, whatever. Back in the day, like you said, you used to brag that you used to prestige in Call of Duty. Not you specifically, but you know, the general public. Because it was something you put a lot of time into, you grinded. And a recent example could be Destiny 2. People constantly are pushing their light levels and whatever the fuck terminology they use. I don't know if that's necessarily a generation thing, but definitely a game thing, yes. I would love to see unlockables come back. This past holiday, we picked up Smash Bros. That was the only thing I played because I just wanted to unlock all the characters. And it was awesome. It was fun. I loved the playing to play and getting new characters and all that shit.
Look at Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
You earned the ability to catch legendary Pokemon.
Yep.
Okay. If you had captured the legendary Pokemon, if you had played the Elite Four a shitload of times and you leveled up, and then you played your boys, and you absolutely wiped the floor with them, it was because you had the better Pokemon. You earned that. We don't need to get away from that. I don't know.
It's unfortunate that people don't. It's a mixture because there's definitely a trend going that way, but then there's also the standstills, the stay strongs, I guess you could call it, because looking at my shelf right now, there's a game I'm looking at right now that doesn't have that process of speeding up. It's Red Dead 2.
Mm-hmm.
Red Dead 2, how many hours are in that fucking game? I barely touched the thing, the surface, and I know there's so much shit to do in that game. That's a time sink. And then there's games where with microtransactions, it's it could be quick and over type deal. They're still making games that are a time sink. I know we have problems with Fallout 76, but if it worked, that would be a time sink. There's no pay to win in Fallout, as far as I know.
No, you pay to just lose with that game.
So I don't know. It's a weird dichotomy of
nice.
Yeah, big words. I'm getting there.
That word of the day, toilet paper, is really starting to pay off.
It is dichotomy. Got it. It's I don't know. It's strange.
Biggest hope for the next console generation is that we finally get an Elder Scrolls fucking 6. I've only been waiting 8 goddamn years, Bethesda.
You got the title screen. You got the glimpse. You got the crack of the door.
Look at this.
We have nothing.
It's this random bullshit landscape. Guys, we're going to let you stew for 4 years and figure out where the fuck we're building it, because guess what? We don't know anymore. I really think that's what that was. They put that like little glimpse out there, and they were waiting for the Elder Scrolls community to start like talking about where they wanted it to go, and then they're
like,
gonna take a poll, and whoever says one location the most, they're gonna go, "That's where
we're
it is.
going."
You guys are right."
Fuck 'em. Pi, I think something I want for next gen
is VR porn.
No, that's already existing.
What?
Yeah. Is Kev's invested in PlayStation VR right now.
No, I'm not.
Is
I'm old fashioned.
more backwards compatibility, like
Give me a magazine.
remaster type stuff. Like, I mean, nostalgia's great, and reminiscing about old times. But I think I don't think it's a bad idea to remaster games and stuff like that. I know some people are like, oh, you gotta make something new, kind of like movies in the same way, remakes, whatever. I'm gonna use RE2, the new Resident Evil 2, the remaster they're making right now.
He's a terrible friend.
I am. I think that is something that is a good remake, remaster, whatever we want to call it terminology-wise. It's the base RE2, but they're also adding stuff. It gives you the nostalgia fix.
99999.
It gives you the nostalgia fix of reliving this experience, or obviously new audiences, me, of playing this game for the first time, but also adds that new fresh coat of paint, obviously with graphics, but also with content of you get the storyline of these different characters, I guess. I think backwards compatibility, whether it's just the old games like Xbox has been doing with their backwards compatibility of being able to play them again, I think that's good. And Halo, yeah. Even just hey, you bought this game PS3 era. As long as you can prove that you bought it, here it is in a digital format or whatever it is. I think that would be fantastic, because then it expands the lifespan of your games, if that makes sense. It's not shit, my disc broke, now I can never play this game again, or whatever it is. Or Pokemon Stadium 2, I love that game. I can't find it working N64. These things with age, obviously, they become harder to find, and I don't know, if somebody wanted to dip their toe back into something, if they could provide that service, I think that'd be good.
Also, what would be cool in the next generation if somebody could finally end the bullshit and just make a new NCAA football game. It's been since 2014, folks. And I get it, there's all sorts of who gets the rights, who gets paid, yada yada. Can you use college students' images in the game because they don't get reimbursed like NFL players do? Guess what? They get to go to college for free, shut the fuck up, and give me my NCAA my NCAA 2020. What's the problem here? Also, I hope most sports games get away from EA, because those people suck. You got NBA 2K. Look, I'm not saying that this latest one's great, but I'm saying 2K is so much better than EA overall. I play the new Madden games, and there's just absolute failure of football logic in your players sometimes, and it's just I got example, I had a running back the other day. He has a wide open lane, and according to the play I picked, he's supposed to run that goddamn way. Literally open. And what does he do? He takes a hard left and runs into 4 defenders. And I'm sitting there going, the fuck? What the fuck? And I want to say that's an isolated incident, but then when I was playing as a running back, and I go to make a play, my offensive line doesn't bother blocking. All the characters just stood up, and they weren't blocking anymore, and all the defense rushed me, and I got tackled for a loss of 10 yards. I'm sitting there going, what the fuck? EA. Eat me.
Yeah, EA. EA.
What happened to them?
I don't know.
You know
it
what?
Used to be the shit.
They made a game,
good shit.
Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Yeah.
That game was fucking awesome. It was so cool. And then what do they do? Nothing since. Nothing.
Well, they do stuff. They don't do good stuff.
Nothing I care about.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just. Yeah, I get you.
NCAA 2020. That's all I'm asking for here, folks. That's all I'm asking for.
We talked about it last night on stream. I think crossplay would be a good idea. I understand why people are hesitant towards that because, people aren't going to buy our consoles or whatever. But I think more integrated games where we have a bigger community, like Rocket League, who is crossplay, like Fortnite, which has crossplay, if we had these games where people could combine together and play, I think that'd be really, really cool. But that's more on the what publishers? No, I don't know. Whatever you want, the big guns, whatever they want to do.
I really hope they don't. I'm not against VR gaming. I'm not, in theory. But I don't want them to get away from just standard gaming.
I don't think they are. I think it's going to be like Kinect. It's not going to fail as hard as Kinect.
No.
But
I don't want Kinect. Listen.
No. I mean, I think it's like the same,
I want a controller.
Mm-hmm.
I want a console. That's all I want.
Okay, well...
You start making me stand up and do shit, and that's not American.
You can play a PlayStation VR sitting down with a controller.
Yeah, but you brought up Kinect.
RE7.
You brought up Kinect.
Yes, I brought up Kinect.
And guess what? Those people gotta stand and do shit, and that's not what video games is about.
And that's why it failed.
Exactly.
But you said, I'm defending VR right now. You said you don't want everything to go to VR. VR, you can do the stand around bullshit like Beat Saber, or you can sit down and play. You have RE7, which is a fully VR game I can sit down and play on my controller. I don't need Move controllers, I don't need anything like that. I have a console, I have a controller, I'm sitting down. America. I have Borderlands 2 that just came out recently. Same idea. VR. No, not everything's going to VR, but I think it's that other level of gaming, it's another wing, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, facet of gaming that you have the option to do, but you don't have to. Similar to, the Switch's capability. Take it on the go. It's another aspect or a way you can play, but you don't have to.
No. No.
Another layer. Thank you, Pi. Yes.
What'd you say?
Facet, wing, whatever.
Dude, stick to one word of the day.
Sorry, dichotomy. Pi, something I thought about while Kevin was going on his other rant. I think a cool thing would be if you buy it physical, you buy a disc. You get it digital.
Yeah, if you got it downloaded on your Xbox hard drive, why can't you just play with that and that alone?
Yes.
I agree with that totally.
Steel bookcases, I know some games were doing it. Some people like the steel bookcases, collecting, whatever. If you bought the steel bookcase, you'd get a digital copy of the game. I think that's awesome. I hate when my disc, I'm playing it so much that my console crashes or freezes. I love this game. Let me fucking play it. I haven't had a game crash on me that's digital. I've had a game crash on me that's disc. And it pisses me off that disc can wear off and wear down. I get it, it's a physical thing. But, if I bought this game, give me the fucking game. Don't make me rebuy it.
And, again, NCAA 14. Going off what Brett said, I'm at a certain point, and I've seen a lot of playthrough people that have it happen to them too, where when you're picking a route to run in football, the line that's supposed to be straight starts going all snake on you. Does it really change anything? No. Does it irritate the shit out of me? Yeah, you bet it does, EA. You bet it does. This is why we need NCAA 2020. That's it. That's all I gotta say about EA and NCAA 2020. Just make it happen. Shut the fuck up.
Next gen.
Next gen.
That's been another episode of Wait, What Are We Talking About? The podcast, episode 36. My name is Brett, aka Enigma911. I'm joined by Kevin once again. Thank you guys for watching and hanging out with us today for our topics. Remember, you can watch the podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma911 every first and third Saturday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, except for this one. But you can check that out over there. If you have a topic for us that you'd like us to discuss, you can either post it in the comment section down below or join us on Discord and put in that tab specifically. And last but not least, remember this podcast is brought to you by the merch store. You can get all of your Enigma 911 swag over there, t-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand and help us out. That would be greatly appreciated. Kevin, thank you for joining me over these past couple months over the podcast. I feel those episodes have been really, really great. We got some positive feedback. Can't wait till you're back and get you back on here on the streams, on the podcast, things like that. Chat, I will see you guys later. Obviously, we're going to talk after, but thank you guys for hanging out and watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.